Welcome back to the program. I'm joined now by Anna Beth Gorman. She is the Executive Director of the Women's Foundation of Arkansas. Good to see you as always.
Thanks, Ruby.
I saw you a couple of weeks ago. You were at our big Northwest Arkansas Business Journal 40 Under 40 event.
Such a great event.
That was a good event, wasn't it? What was your
good
impression of Olivia Walton and what she had to say that day?
I was really excited. So she used words that I love. She used words like access, creating access, and talked about the mission of the museum up there and how it was so intentional for people in this part of the country to have access to incredible art because art's transformative. But I also know that she's really passionate about women and helping women have access to things in our state. So I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Entrepreneurship as well as the art, and then also she's a big maternal health
Yes, and
supporter.
I'm really proud that we have a champion because you're going to start hearing a lot about maternal health across the country, but make no mistake, like this is where we lead leader, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
We lead the country in maternal mortality, and you just can't. It can't be overstated of like what that means. Like women are dying in our state from having children.
Yeah.
And we've got to address it.
She made a good point, not to knock Arkansas hospitals because there's some great health care here, but she said that she had one of her 3 children in New York, the other 2 in Arkansas. She said the level of care was significantly
It's the level of
different,
care, and it is access. So yes, we've got some great systems in our state, but the majority of our counties don't act. We live in what's called a maternal health desert.
Yep.
I mean, our state is a maternal health, so the majority of Arkansas counties don't have obstetric care. So part of your birth plan is like, where will I have my child? Think about it, if you're in rural Arkansas and you maybe already have trouble accessing transportation, you really have to be thinking about when you go into labor, where am I going to go to have a baby?
Well, my daughter-in-law and sister-in-law are both OBGYNs, so the Brock family's doing their part
Good, I
to help
appreciate that.
things there. So you were at the Arkansas Women's Hall of Fame this past week too. Tell me a little bit about how that event
so
was.
I'm on the board of the Women's Hall of Fame.
I would expect the Women's Foundation of Arkansas to have some role in that. Yeah.
So it's such a great event, and what I love is that, I mean, there were close to 800 people in the room last night, men, women, lots of different generations, from representation from around our state, but it's really great. I mean, I'm a history nerd myself, but learning about the impact of Arkansas women that are still with us, and women that have passed on. Last night we talked about a hidden figure, a woman that was an astrophysicist from Hope, Arkansas, a woman of color. She was one of the NASA computers, female computers. She was a hidden figure. And her family didn't know her story until they were going through papers in her home. And I loved learning about, I've known about Adolphine Fletcher Terry. Mm-hmm. So I have like a connection. She and I have the same birthday. She's 100 years older than I am. And I feel like I am, I am the next version.
She's reincarnated through you in some way.
Yes, I don't want to appropriate the word like reincarnation, and I don't want like to weird her family out, but I absolutely identify with Adolphine Fletcher Terry and what she did for the Women's Emergency Committee to reopen our schools, and her legacy here in Arkansas. Oh my gosh, I mean, I could literally spend all of our time talking about how cool the class was last night.
Well, the next year's class will be even better, I'm sure. So
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about a mission that you are on right now to expand advocacy in Arkansas. You want to see more nonprofits get involved in some causes that matter. Tell me a little bit about where your thinking is on this.
Sure. So during the last legislative session, the Women's Foundation of Arkansas, we became engaged in advocacy. We've always thought of ourselves as, an educational resource about women and girls, but we really had to become engaged in the legislative session because there was a bill filed that we felt were really harmful for women entrepreneurs. We've talked about that. But what larger we found was that there isn't a resource for nonprofits to go to learn about the parameters of how you be an advocate in a nonpartisan way. We don't have a state association for nonprofits at all in our state. A state association that would give you that information, tell you like what are the do's and do nots in that space. The nearest one is in Memphis, and they're doing a lot to help nonprofits. So for me and for our organization, even thinking ahead to 2025, we can't go it alone. We can't we can't be up at the Capitol every single day. We don't really want to be at the Capitol every single
Yep.
day. But we do want our legislators informed about grassroots efforts from this sector that is really collecting data, it's collecting narratives, it's speaking to people on the ground. And so how can we provide infrastructure and capacity for nonprofits to do this? I mean, it's necessary right now. I was just visiting with someone about, Easter Seals had to get involved in this session because of the LEARNS Act at the
Right.
very kind of 11th hour. It's, you want nonprofits at the table because they can provide some really great information about the unintentional consequences of the legislation that's being filed. So this is something that I've become extremely passionate about. The Women's Foundation of Arkansas, we want to create a large table, invite a lot of folks to it, and learn together as a sector how we can be better resources to our legislators.
I know it's early in the process, but how do you think you're going to structure that? Is there going to be a new organization created to allow these nonprofits to all kind of pitch in, maybe something small and make that work? Is it going to come through the Women's
I think
Foundation
that
of Arkansas?
originally
I don't know.
Again, and so we've got some ideas on some. We've looked at different models of just kind of coalitions and associate. I'm not talking about starting a new nonprofit because we got a lot of nonprofits, but I am trying to talk about coalition building. And again, each nonprofit has their own lane and they have their own focus area. Women's Foundation, we focus on economics, accessing the Arkansas economy for women and girls. But there are a lot of nonprofits that focus on healthcare, that focus on education. And so right now I kind of see those three pillars as important in our state right now. And there's a lot of things in that. And the WFA, Women's Foundation, we're not the experts by any stretch of the imagination in education and healthcare. I don't even claim to be, but would love to learn more about what's happening in those spaces and how can we be supportive. So I think those are the pillars that we want to build upon and again, invite nonprofits who want to learn, like what does it mean to be a resource advocate during a legislative session and kind of go from there. So very early infancy stages. I think we got to see what the appetite is. I see the need, but we have to see what the engagement and buy-in is going to be from our sector to build it.
So if somebody wants to get more involved in that, they've seen what you've had to say, how do they get involved in this movement that you're trying to create?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, reach out to me. You can find me pretty easily at the Women's
You
Foundation.
are easy to find.
I'm easy to find at the Women's Foundation of Arkansas, or just, and again, you find me, but that's, we're building it. So again, I'm on a mission to identify nonprofits across our state that were involved or were curious and I want a diverse set of voices because we really want to rebuild relationship with our legislators in their backyards because nonprofits are everywhere across our state doing really great work and we want to help amplify their work and their stories.
All right, she's Anna Beth Gorman. She is the head of the Women's Foundation of Arkansas. She's just doesn't have enough time in the day to do all of the things she's got ideas for, but it's great to see you.
Thanks, Ruby.
Thanks for sharing on all of this and good luck.
Thank you.